Friends, family, strangers, but most importantly, Zane, my co-host of this show. If you've had at least 3 conversations with me, you would know that I'm completely and utterly obsessed with the awards season. I make this little gold man my personality from August to March every single freaking year. People ask me all the time, what's coming out this year? What's gonna win Best Picture? And I just probably stare at you blankly and say, oh, we gotta wait till the fall festivals come around. Well, today, that's not an excuse. I have created a ridiculous PowerPoint to take you guys through every single festival that's happening this season, why they're important, and what films are premiering at them. And by the time you see this video, they're already starting, baby. They're happening right freaking now. So without risking you already clicking off to my first YouTube video ever, let's get right into it. A quick word about Oscar campaigning before we get into it. It is true that last year Sean Baker only spent $6 million to make Nora. However, Nealon reportedly spent $20 million campaigning the film. So how Oscar campaigning works is the company that has the rights to distribute the film, they send the Academy members screeners, they host Q&A sessions and events, and it ends up costing a lot of money. If you keep up with award season, you'll notice language around which film is a studio's priority, and this is the movie that the studio is going to put the most money towards campaigning. This is why when we get into the PowerPoint, I reference which studio has each film, as it very, very, very much matters in the realm of Oscar predicting.
Please do not ask me how long it took me to make this. That would be embarrassing. It's Oscar season, baby. We're freckin' in. Let's freckin' do this. Starting off, we have Venice. So Venice is a competition festival, which means that the only films playing at Venice are premieres, and they are all competing for the Golden Lion, which is Venice's Best Picture, basically. Roughly 2 Venice premieres show up in Best Picture every single year. I actually did like a stat run of the past decade, and only 2 outlier years in which this wasn't true. Now listen, the Golden Lion is not a surefire Best Picture guarantee. So within the past decade, most American distributed films that won the Golden Lion did go on to become Best Picture nominees or even win, i.e. Shape of Water, Poor Things, Nomadland. But you can't be so sure. Last year, the winner of the Golden Lion was The Room Next Door, which blanked with 0 Oscars, but because it won the Golden Lion, it fooled a lot of you bitches for a while, and a lot of you were like, no, it got the Golden Lion, so it's gotta be there, it's gotta be there. Other awards given out at the Venice Film Festival is the Silver Lion for Best Director and the Volpe Cups for Best Actor and Best Actress. Now, whoever wins these awards really is there to kind of just generate buzz. It doesn't actually end up correlating into Oscar success. For example, in 2023, Kaylee Spaney won the Volpe Cup for Best Actress for her performance in Priscilla, beating out Emma Stone for her performance in Poor Things. And Kaylee Spaney was not even nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars that year, and Emma Stone literally freaking won. Take the Venice Awards with a grain of salt. Now let's get into what some of these premieres are. Begonia. This is the latest and greatest from certified freak himself, Yorgos Lanthimos. I'm a big Yorgos fan, I cannot be lying. He is pairing up with Emma Stone again, literally taking the whole concept of a work wife to a crazy new level. And guys, this looks bonkers bananas. It's about 2 conspiracy theorists who kidnap a high-powered CEO who are convinced that she is an alien. Now, Yorgos Lanthimos is known for those weird freak boy movies, but he's had a lot of Oscar success, specifically with Poor Things and The Favorite, and he also has his share of flops with the Oscars, like Killing of a Sacred Deer and Kinds of Kindness. Now, the reason why we think that this one is going to be more palatable for the Oscars is because it's not written by Yorgos. It's actually written by Will Tracy, who wrote The Menu and also worked on Succession. So definitely going to be a bit more accessible. This has already premiered, and it premiered to some pretty good reviews. Not like the Poor Things heights per se, but pretty good with a lot of tech potential. This is also going to Telluride, and it is being distributed by Focus Features. Now, Focus Features has another film it's distributing, and we will get to that conversation just a little bit later. Next, we have Netflix. Netflix went on a buying spree this season. They have like a jillion movies, but the question has been, which one are they going to financially prioritize? Starting out with J. Kelly. This is the latest film from director Noah Baumbach, who did Marriage Story. And J. Kelly is like a pretty meta story about an actor who is reminiscing on his life, who was constantly accused of playing himself, starring none other than George Clooney, who very coincidentally has been accused of the same thing. Now, before Venice, this was looking to be Netflix's big boy massive contender, and then it premiered to pretty middling reviews. The critics at Venice were very harsh towards it. But then it premiered at Telluride, and it did a whole lot better over there. So it's really hard to say how much of a juggernaut J. Kelly's going to be. Also very funny, people are acting already like this is the award season villain. They're already nah, yeah, fuck J. Kelly, this is the one to beat. This is the one to beat, guys. Me and my homies hate J. Kelly. Kind of for no reason. You hate to see a man get a little meta. This also has massive buzz for Adam Sandler for a supporting actor, which, how long are we gonna keep snubbing that man? That man keeps giving excellent performances.
And you don't seem to understand.
And you know what? When the rug gets pulled back, Adam Sandler's gonna be down there, and he's gonna be like, why'd you shove me under there for so long? Next we have Frankenstein. This is Guillermo del Toro's latest film, who did The Shape of Water and Pan's Labyrinth. And this is a retelling of Frankenstein with Jacob Elordi as the monster himself and Oscar Isaac as the doctor. I cannot fathom the choice of Jacob Elordi. I can only imagine that they picked him because we're supposed to find him hot. We're supposed to find Frankenstein hot, right? The baddies are gonna be down. This movie is also going to TIFF, and it premiered to some pretty good reviews. I think that the tech nomination potential for this film is massive. Guillermo del Toro is known for his use of practical effects and his elaborate set design and his world building. I don't know how much of a best picture contender it's going to be at this point, but definitely something to watch out for. I believe in our GOAT. I'm excited for this movie. Next we have A House of Dynamite. This is the newest film by Kathryn Bigelow, starring Idris Elba and Rebecca Ferguson. And listen, this movie was made for your father. And before Greta Gerwig, Kathryn Bigelow was the only female director that your dad knew anyways. We didn't know anything about this film yet, but it has premiered, and guys, this really might be Netflix's contender. Mother Ferguson might be here to eat down. Mother Ferguson might be here to take awards. This is looking like it could be a big one, guys. It's about time our woman came back. Look at her in the corner right there, double fisting her Oscars, she's here for another one maybe. So far, out of Netflix's films that have premiered, this is the most critically acclaimed one, which means it might, not for sure, but might be what they put their chips in. It's not guaranteed. Happy Father's Day! No other choice. Full disclosure, I think that this is probably my most anticipated of the year at this point. This is King Park Chan-wook, Trauma Movie City of Old Boy and the Handmaiden fame. Put respect on my man's name. This is allegedly his most critically acclaimed film in the past decade. At the time of recording this, the Golden Lion has not been announced, but let it be known, guys. I think that this is gonna win right now.
Coming at you live from the editing room. The Golden Lion was announced, and it was not no other choice. It was Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, which I did not make a slide for. I didn't even consider this just because Jim Jarmusch does not make Oscar movies in the slightest. He makes total slice of life, monotony vibe movies. I don't think it has any Oscar prospects. It's just simply not the type of movie that the Academy would ever go for. It kind of just proves my point that the Golden Lion is not a good metric to predict the Oscars off of. There's a lot of movies on here that I almost made slides for, but then I was like, but what if it's just a flop? And it's why am I spending all this time talking about it? Only for them to do well, so.
This film is just hitting it out of the park. Everyone seems to be in love with it and be obsessed with it, and that's what we wanted to hear, man. I don't even know what the plot is. I don't know the premise. I don't need to know anything. Like, Park Chan-wook, I will sign up for the Park Chan-wook film every time, and you guys should too. Watch Oldboy and watch The Handmaiden before this shit, and you'll know why to be afraid and excited. We're going to be getting into this a little bit later in the PowerPoint, but Neon has no other choice. And this could be a good thing or a bad thing with just how full Neon's slate is this year. I'm so excited, guys. Like, this is it. Next, we have The Smashing Machine, directed by Benny Safdie. The Safdie brothers are pulling the Coen brothers, and they are parting ways, at least for the time being, and directing their own movies this year. Josh Safdie has Marty Supreme coming out, and this is Benny's movie. A24 has this one, and it is a boxing movie starring The Rock, who is in a shit ton of makeup and definitely wants an award, guys. He wants it. This movie premiered to pretty good reviews. For some reason, people are talking this movie like it's gonna be too weird for the Oscars, and that like all of their chips are just going to be with Marty Supreme instead of this one. But I think we're counting this one out a little bit too early, guys. The acting buzz that The Rock and Emily Blunt both have is massive. Something I do want to say about The Rock, though, is there was a rumor going around for a while that The Rock actually has it in his contracts that when he does a movie, he is not allowed to lose, which I just am gonna be watching this movie and be thinking about that in the back of my head the whole time to see like if The Rock loses, like did he abolish his contract for this film, or is it still intact and they have to work around it? If that's the case, that's kind of the funniest shit ever. Like, I don't know how that doesn't just feel like an ego trip. So guys, After the Hunt. This is Luca Guadagnino's latest controversial film, after Call Me By Your Name and Challengers. This one's kind of been a wild ride. It is starring Julia Roberts, Ayo Edebiri, and Andrew Garfield, so basically the bisexual's absolute wet dream. But there were some weird things going on with this one. For one, this is a Me Too movie, and it seems like people don't necessarily love how it's going about it. It's funny, before this premiered, people had no idea what to do with this one. They were like, is this Julia Roberts' Oscar return? People had it at like in their Best Picture top 10. The script was going around online. People were rating it. And then I'd say safe to say, count this one out as an Oscar player. Maybe a Julia Roberts could still get in. Or maybe this movie just has an insane second life, but womp womp, it's okay. Luca Guadagnino will probably have 2 more movies coming out next year and 2 more the following year. Okay, guys. I am stoked for The Testament of Anne Lee. No, listen up. This is Mona Fastfold's film, who is the wife to Brady Corbet, who just did The Brutalist. And y'all, she has made this weird musical starring Amanda Seyfried. The Vanity Fair article came out that was like, Mama, we made this for only $10 million. And the early letterbox curve for this was insane. I think that Miss Amanda could be going for the gold tier. She is playing a horny, repressed religious woman singing. She's running around. She's probably doing crazy stuff. She's probably speaking in tongues like mamas. This is her movie. Some people are throwing out masterpiece, other people freaking hate it. I'm so excited. And Anne Lee actually does not have a distributor right now. It'll likely be purchased at some point in the festival. Dependent on who purchases it, I think that could make or break its Oscar run. Also, it could be delayed until next year, and it literally doesn't even matter for this award season conversation, but this was my most anticipated of the festivals just to see how this one turned out, and it looks delicious, guys. It looks like straight drama, straight tea. I'll be seated. I'm already sad. Now on to Telluride. Now, Telluride is not a competition festival. There are no awards going out for this one. They actually announced their lineup the day before the festival begins to keep it more for the locals. Paparazzi's not allowed. It's a pretty cool festival to be at. Now, this is a festival where you will see Sundance and Cannes films play again, and this is very important to see which movies from Cannes and Sundance are distribution companies bringing back, and it's very important to see how they play in these other festivals. So without further ado, we'll go into the world premieres at Telluride. All right, first up we got Hamnet. Now, this movie, mamas, apparently makes you cry and weep like a little baby. This is the most recent film from Chloe Zhao, who actually was the second woman to win Best Director for Nomadland back in 2021. And it's starring Jessie Buckley and Paul Mescal, who are playing Shakespeare and Shakespeare's wife. And look at these reviews, guys. People are eating this up. This is definitely going to be one of the most critically acclaimed movies of the year. This is one to super look out for potentially Jessie Buckley winning for this movie. Y'all know Twitter's going to go insane for this. Like Twitter is gonna eat this one up so big time. Also, Hamnet is distributed by Focus Features, who also has Begonia. And before the fall festivals began, there was very much this debate in the Oscar race community of, oh my god, like, which film is Focus gonna pick? Like, there can only be one. Which is not necessarily true, but I think with the buzz, if they're going to prioritize one or the other, it will be Hamnet, but that does not... Guys, my camera died, and then I recharged it, and then I recorded again, but without audio. So I'm gonna do this again, and it's gonna be a crash out. Ballad of a Small Player. I love him so much. This is the latest film from Edward Berger, who literally just had a movie at the Oscars last year with Conclave, and he's already back. We love a workaholic. This is another film on Netflix's slate, but I would be really surprised if this one gets priority because the reviews were kind of more so-so and Netflix just has that much. But it's a movie about a hot guy gambling. So this year's musical biopic. Because apparently we need one every single year. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. This year's is looking to be Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, with Jeremy Allen White, the sexy chef himself, as Bruce Springsteen. If you're a man in a musical biopic, you're in contention for Best Actor. You always are. We have two Jeremys in contention this year, as Jeremy Strong is playing Bruce Springsteen's manager. And listen, I hope Jeremy Strong gets nominated at every single award ceremony this year, because look at him. This man has the most interesting outfits, and I want to see him on every single carpet, please. All you bitches boring, and Jeremy Strong pulling up unironically like this. Y'all, I'm too excited. I have this Banff Canada sweatshirt, and it's really weird because every single time I wear it, somebody asks me if I'm from there, which I feel like if you're wearing a piece of clothing with a location on it, it does not mean that you're from there. And yet, every time I wear this at my customer service job, people be asking, are you Canadian? No! TIFF. TIFF's lineup is released always before Telluride, and then Telluride's like, but what if I premiere them before you? Expect to see Sundance and Cannes films here as well. The films at TIFF are competing for the TIFF People's Choice Award, which is a major Best Picture foreteller. Since 2012, every TIFF People's Choice winner has gotten into Best Picture until... Yeah, we don't talk about Charles Krantz in this house. Which also, Life of Chuck wasn't even eligible for that Oscar season, so it's a fluke. It's a fluke, guys. It's a fluke. So I've been doing my research, actually, and I found out something very, very interesting. So at TIFF, there is the TIFF People's Choice Awards, but then they also announced the first runner-up and the second runner-up. Now, they started announcing runner-ups in 2007, and ever since then, if you are a movie that places at TIFF that came out at either Sundance or Cannes, you are going to be in Best Picture. This happened with Call Me By Your Name, a Sundance premiere, and Parasite, Amelia Perez, and Honora all placed, and they were all Cannes films. Which the prospects of that we will get to a little bit later. For now, let's get to the premieres, which again, Telluride stole them all. There's like 2 films we're talking about here. So we have Rental Family, directed by Hikari, who actually is known for directing a couple episodes of the Netflix show Beef, and is starring none other than Brendan Fraser. This poster of him is never gonna disappear. You're gonna have to live with it forever. Rental Family is said to be that feel-good tearjerker about a guy that gets rented out to be at weddings and other family outings, and it's Brendan Fraser's gonna be this teddy bear of a man, and it's looking promising. And the reason why we actually have so much confidence in this is because Searchlight had like an empty slate and was buying nothing, and this is one of their only movies. So it definitely means that they have a lot of chips placed on this, because Searchlight typically gets a movie in. This also is most people's prediction right now to win the TIFF People's Choice, because the TIFF People's Choice winner ends up typically being like a super accessible, feel-good type of movie. So watch out for this one. In the year of 2025, we all needed... Oh, my camera died. I'm sorry to my mother, I'm sorry to my sister, I'm sorry to my father, I'm sorry to my grandmother, I'm sorry to my great-great-grandmother, I'm sorry to my great-great-grandfather. Knives Out! This is not something that I would really consider to be an Oscar contender, but adapted screenplay is wide open, and I would be looking out for this to see if it places at TIFF, just because this is totally the type of thing that would place at TIFF. Also questioning if that stock image detective is Ludwig. Hi, there's like 2 more movies I want to talk about. So first off, we actually have Roofman, which is the latest and greatest from Derek Cianfrance. This is the guy that did Place Beyond the Pines. You guys know that movie. And apparently it's like a really energetic dramedy with Channing Tatum as the Roofman himself and Kirsten Dunst. And this is playing like really, really, really well with audiences in a way that like I felt like I needed to talk about it, because it is the type of likability that could get TIFF People's Choice. And it's actually seeming like Rental Family is a little bit more on the mid side than it is the tearjerker knockout that we were expecting. So I wanted to mention that real quick. And then the other movie I briefly want to talk about is Nuremberg. This is the brown movie of the year. This is the movie where all of the trailer and the stills are like muddied brown, and everybody's so serious, and it's got a bunch of like actors that have won things before, and they're like really, really, really serious in their brown drab looking movie. But there's some light buzz for Russell Crowe and Rami Malek, and I don't really believe in it, but again, I gotta be ahead of these things if for some reason this does become a huge player. So that's all. So do you guys remember last year when A24 was buying like every single film up for grabs? Like if your film didn't have a distributor, baby, A24 was laying down a couple million for you back to back. And that, folks, is what Neon did this year. Neon went on a spree at Cannes and bought like everything. And this is what I was talking about before, of if there's a Cannes or Sundance film that places at TIFF, you need to keep your eyes on that. So starting off, we have It Was Just an Accident, directed by Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi, which was this year's winner of the Palme d'Or. Obviously, the Palme winner is nothing to scoff at. However, sometimes movies are really affected when they're not going to be submitted by their home country. Not always the case, i.e. Anatomy of a Fall a couple years ago, but people are a little nervous of the lack of visibility that It Was Just an Accident might have. It also might have a little bit lower of a nomination field in which it can get, kind of looking just at screenplay and international if it gets submitted somewhere. But that doesn't mean that Neon's not still going to give it a full campaign, because it was the Palme d'Or winner, and if this places anywhere, that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. It is one of the most critically acclaimed movies of the year so far. Then we have Sentimental Value, which this is Joachim Trier's follow-up to The Worst Person in the World. If you have not seen this movie, get on that shit. This is looking like it could be Neon's massive push. It seems like 4 of its actors could potentially get in. It might have international in the bag. It could have screenplay. It might have editing. It's got a higher nomination ceiling than other movies here. And apparently it makes you cry, and it's sad, and it's sweet, and this is a big, big, big one to look out for this award season. Last year on Oscar nomination morning, I was in that YouTube live stream, and the entire chat was just Brazilian flags. And listen, y'all, Brazil knows how to get their movie in. We saw massive success with I'm Still Here last year. And Brazil has the opportunity to do it again with The Secret Agent. This movie won Best Director at Cannes and Best Actor. And I would not count out Wagner Moura as a surprise Best Actor nominee. He has a lot of buzz. And apparently the movie is very accessible, which at least at TIFF will be a huge plus. Then we have Surat, which I definitely think is, like, at this point, Neon's lowest priority, especially now that they have no other choice, which is popping off right now. I just really want to see Surat. Apparently it's like Mad Max Fury Road. Something to look out for an international feature. But this does beg the question, where has A24 been in all of this? Is there anything that they're hedging their bets on? Introducing If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Whenever a company takes a Sundance movie and pushes it so that it has a fall festival run, I think that everyone should take note of this. A24 has a very open slate, and they are taking this movie everywhere. I don't think that it's a picture contender, but everyone who watched this movie was like, give Rose Byrne the Best Actress Oscar. So I think that A24 is pulling all of their chips in to campaign Rose Byrne into Best Actress. This also happened last year with Searchlight doing this with A Real Pain that premiered at Sundance. They delayed its release to the fall so that it could have a festival run and just generated a lot of Kieran Culkin buzz. So this is 110% something to look out for. Finally, we have New York. New York is also not a competition festival. It is very similar to the likes of TIFF and Telluride, in that you should expect to see all the other fall festival titles here as well. Actually, only 2 New York premieres have made it into Best Picture in the past decade. And what was really interesting is when I was doing research for this, 10 years prior, it was actually flipped between New York and Venice. There was actually a lot more New York premieres and much less Venice premieres. But that is flipped now, but still worth going over real fast. So at New York premiering, we have Is This Thing On, directed by Oscar Race's favorite, Bradley Cooper. That's a joke. You know how it's like cringe to care too much and to try too hard? Bradley Cooper has been labeled as this. To a lot of people, is just so thirsty for the Oscar that nobody wants him. He was the big Oscar villain when Maestro came out. I will say that this movie seems so much less like straight up Oscar bait, quote unquote, than his other 2 films. It feels like he's taken a chill pill a little bit. It's about a stand-up comedian played by Will Arnett. Bradley Cooper is not the lead this time. So it'll be very interesting to see how this film is compared to A Star is Born and Maestro, when maybe he's not gunning for an Oscar so hard. I personally don't have any beef with Bradley Cooper's movies. I think that he's fine. Something that I love is people who say they're retiring and then don't. Like, you are the drama! And that is exactly what Daniel Day-Lewis is doing. Daniel Day-Lewis retired from acting in 2017 after Phantom Thread, but ladies and gentlemen, he's back. The GOAT's back. And if this man is going to be in a movie again, you bet your asses all of our eyes are right on this to see how this goes. Now, something to note is that this is Daniel Day-Lewis' son's directorial debut. So we don't know if his son actually has the directing sauce. But yo, he's back. So like, we are legally obligated to pay attention to this movie, however it may be. Guys, we made it. Thank you for watching to the end if you did. My camera died twice, my mic was off, it was a whole nightmare, but you know what? We do it for the love of the game, baby. Editing myself in this is going to be a nightmare for my psyche and self-image.